I'm going to be showing you how to make this super fun penny slider card from subs box number 35. And we can see with the unicorn, we're going to go side to side and it spins all the way around. This is where you get the penny slider. Isn't this so fun to actually watch, but also it is so fun to create. So what we're going to do is we're going to go straight in. I'm going to show you how you can actually make this penny slider card. What I'm going to do is I've brought in a piece of Neenah cardstock. Now, for anyone that wants to know the actual size, it is 5 by 3, and we're going to do a little bit of colouring using our tri-blend. So therefore, I have got my stamping mat, so we can stamp on top. Now, when I bring in my stamps, I'm going to be using my alcohol-proof ink pad. And for this one, instead of going for a real deep black, I'm going to be using my Flagstone. So let's bring in our stamping platform as well. And we're going to use the unicorn. So let's take the unicorn die. And I also need the unicorn stamp, because we'll be stamping that just shortly. But what we're going to do for the decoration on the back, we're going to stamp some of the rainbows. And I think we've got the rainbow. Let's do a couple of hearts as well. And then what we could do is use one of these sentiments. So let's go, I believe in you. I'm going to take these bits here. And then if I start to layer a couple of them up, so I'm going to bring in my cardstock and I'm going to bring in my stamping platform. So let's go in with a rainbow. So I've got that into the centre just now, and using my Flagstone, I'm going to give that a nice covering of ink. And randomly, you don't need to be specific in any way. What I'm going to do is just randomly stamp throughout the design, and we're going to go at different angles. And at the moment, what I'm doing is I'm covering my image with the stamps. Only then do we come along and we do the die cutting. So if we were to carry on stamping, what will happen is we'll be left with a full design. So let's do a tiny little bit more. Let's bring in these hearts now, and we can just stamp that one on. And we're going to go into, let's say, here. Let's do this one down into here. What we'll do is we'll do one more here. Then this is going to leave us with a bit of space at the bottom to do our sentiment along here. So we can do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my sentiment where I want it to go onto my card. Let's go a little bit further. So there we go. It's going to be perfect to sit into place here. Once I've got it where I want it to go, let's pop it onto our platform. We're going to bring in our ink pad again, lay that colour down, and then we're going to press. So if we sit that into place, we've now got our background already stamped. So what we can then do is we can then come along at this point. So before we colour it, I'm going to come in with my worker die. And it's kind of key to do your stamping first, because what you want it to do is you want it to be kind of like natural background. So therefore, we're going to do our stamping first. We're then going to come along with our worker die, and then we're going to place that exactly where we want it to go. And for this one, I'm going to keep it really simple, and we're going to pop it, kind of towards the middle. And I'm going to tape that down with my low-tack tape. And depending on the size of the card that you are making, it's going to go through, of course, your MIDI. But if you're making a really slim card, it's going to go through your Gemini Go or even your Gemini Mini. So running that one through, so what that will do is that will then die cut that little aperture throughout the middle. We can then get our pens ready. And on these ones, I'm going to be using my tri-blends. So we can then remove this one out of the way. So carefully peeling that one off. And then this leaves us with our aperture within the middle that we can see here. So at this point, we're going to come in with our colouring medium. So I'm going to be using my tri-blends for this one. And we'll do a little bit of colouring. So let's go in with our aqua blue. And I'm going to do a couple of the rainbows. So I'm going to go into the rainbow here. If you want to do your blending and shading, you absolutely can, but I'm not. I'm going to go direct in with the mid-tone, so that's one of them. Let's go in with the citrus, and also going in with the mid-tone. So let's go into the outside of the rainbow. We're going to colour that one in. And then what we can do is we can do the last bit of the rainbow, and this one is the coral shade. And we'll also, let's go for light for this one. We can go into here, and we can colour that one in. You can then add a little bit of detail when it comes to your pen on your background design. It will then, once you've coloured all the elements that you want to colour, it's going to look like that. So you've got it exactly the way that you want it to be. So what we can also do at this point is by taking our unicorn, so our unicorn stamp and also our unicorn die. Now I've got a couple of these already done, but let's just stamp it out so that you can see what it looks like. So bringing our unicorn in, I'm going to bring in my stamping mat again with our cardstock, and we're also going to bring in our stamping platform at the same time, layering this up into the middle. And I say the middle, it obviously doesn't need to be exact. The main thing is you are going to be popping it onto your cardstock. We can then bring this one in, and I'm going to stamp that into place. Now you do get the matching die to die cut it out. So once you've stamped it, it's then going to die cut. It will look like that. Really, really cute. You can then colour it whichever way that you want. I have gone along, still with my tri-blends, but I've even gone on with a little bit of sparkle pen as well, to make it a wee bit sparkly. So this is where the really fun bit comes into place, and that's where we can start to build up our penny slider. So we've got our unicorn, we've got our backdrop that we've created. We need a piece of pattern paper that also comes from the subscription box, and we also need a couple of pennies as well. So it could be pennies, it could be dimes, anything that's really quite small. So we've got all of these. Then of course we do need our card blank as well. So to assemble it, we're going to bring in our tape runner. So I've got my tape runner here. We're also going to need either foam pads or your foam on a roll, or you can use a combination of both. So let's do that. So I'm going to move these bits out of the way for now. So if I bring in our design that we've already stamped and coloured, so I'm going to go round the outside with our foam on a roll. And what I want to do is, you'll see as I'm going round, I'm going to layer these up on the outside, and I'm going to follow it all the way around. And it doesn't need to be exact, or it doesn't need to meet up, as long as you've got your outside edge. But try and keep all this area clear so you can get the movement from the penny. Well, let's take another bit. We're going to pop that up towards this edge, and then what I will do, just to stabilize it slightly, we're going to put a little bit of the foam on a roll here. What we can then do is, before we start to pop in our penny, let's get the back end all ready so that we are good to go. So taking the back end off here all the way around. And then if I bring in my foam pads, and we're going to start to create our own little circle disc. So I'm going to take one of our square ones. So I'll tell you what, let's just take that completely off. And then I'm going to go around just roughly, doesn't need to be exact. We're going to follow all the way around so that we get a little bit of a circle. And I'm going to neaten it up slightly. The only key thing to make sure is the diameter of the circle is going to fit, and it's going to move just beautifully within your aperture. So let's trim that bit off. And now if I bring this one back in, I'm going to make sure that it actually sits nicely into the middle, which it does. We've got that little bit of movement. What I might actually even do is, let's just go a tiny, tiny little bit smaller, so we can then trim that edge. We're then going to bring in our penny here. So if I bring this one into place here, so what I like to do is I'm popping it underneath just now, and then I'm going to layer this one up. Then I can come along with my foam disc that I've created. So we can see the penny is in the middle. We can take the backing off. So this can then come off the back as easy as they usually do. So peeling that one off, peeling your backing. That's then going to sit into the middle of your penny. So we've got that into your worker. We can then take this top bit off. We can then pop our penny directly over the top. Then at this point, what we can then do is we can take either your foam on a roll or maybe an additional pad, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So we're going to lift up our unicorn using our foam pads. So if we get that back and off, we'll get in the corner of our foam pad, peeling it off, and then we can then go on with our unicorn. So if I pop the pad here, so if we make sure that's nice and pressed into place, get the corner of the pad, lifting it off, and we can then position that into place. And then at this point, what we can do, you can either do it now or before. I'm going to go around the edge with my tape runner. We can then pop a little bit into the middle, bringing in our card blank, and we can place that nice and neatly over at the top, pressing, so we've got that good pressure all the way around. And then you'll see, so if I turn Mr. or Mrs. Unicorn the right way, we can then turn it around, and you can have a play, get that movement going to start with. Sometimes it just takes just a wee minute just for a turn for it to work, and then there we go. You can see how it goes back and forwards, it slides back and forwards. You've got that fun card, but you've got that movement as well. And as you can see within that one, that is super, super easy to make. So that's one of them that you can be making using Subsbox 35, which is all about the penny sliders.